Hello everybody, I am Indy McDaniel and welcome back to Critical Point. And when we left off, somebody else died in the worst possible way ever. And Elise has been accused of the murders and the sabotage, and she's been hauled away to confinement. So now I am alone. I have no android sexy lady to have the sex with. And now let's see what happens next. I returned to my compartment with a heavy heart. It had been hard to watch my excellent assistant being led away. It hurt, but there was nothing I could do about it. It was an everyday occurrence for an intelligence officer to be required to face difficult situations. Still though, now what should I do, now that I'm back here? Stroll around the base for a while, or review the situation and gather my thoughts? And the survey says I'm going to review the situation and gather my thoughts, maybe watch some porn on the monitor. I wasted a lot of time and didn't even acquire any new information. All I had was circumstantial evidence that led to Elise being taken into custody. If I made a wrong move now, I might wind up dead myself. I guess this means that I'll just have to wait and see what happens next. I was worn out after making out with Carla and Elise in succession. Should I call Rico? Hold it, Elise said that there might be drugs in the food supply. If that's true, I shouldn't be eating from the dust chute. What should I do? While I pondered this question, I heard a thump at my door. Jesus, that was loud! Oh, who the heck? I couldn't open the door confidently like I had before. I heard Rico's voice from the outside monitor. I relaxed immediately. I opened the door to see Rico sprawled on the floor. She must have run into the door or something. She was flashing her panties at me as usual. Come on in, Corporal Rico Shinizuka. I don't know why I used your rank and full name, it just felt appropriate. I stretched out my hand to help her up. See, I can be a nice guy sometimes. Sorry? What? She looked like she'd smacked her nose. I let her enter my room. She sure has a knack of knowing when I come back to my room. She did mention that she was monitoring my coming and going. I asked Rico about it. Is this what you're supposed to do as my support liaison? What? You're speaking gibberish. Do you have a concussion? What the hell is wrong with you? In other words, she jacked into my circuits without permission? Is that what she said? I couldn't make heads or tails of that, to be honest. I'm sure glad she isn't the enemy. Then again, we don't know that for sure. I pulled out my gun and shot her, repeatedly, in the face. No, I didn't do it. What? What? What the hell are you speaking? What language is that? So, she came to fix me dinner. Apparently I know what she's saying, other me. Thank you for fucking figuring it out for me. Oh, now you can speak perfectly fine, can you? You are the enemy. I need to shoot you in the face. I couldn't eat any more of Rico's meals, but it might seem suspicious if I simply refused her. What should I do? After a moment's thought, I had a bright idea. It was the first time ever. I was very proud. I want some sea rations. Combat rations, you know. Yeah, sure, why not? I guess you might say that. Nobody would want to eat that stuff if they could get something even just slightly better. But there was little chance of drugs being added to the sealed packages. Her nose seemed to have gotten a bit better. Riko asked for my order as she turned to the terminal. Not that! Nothing synthetic! This is a base, isn't it? Emergency stored food! Idiot!
それはありますけど。
Riko responded dubiously. I became a bit irritated. Well, go get some!
あ、私が取ってきます。
That would be bad too. Without knowing who was an ally and who was the enemy, I couldn't leave this to someone else. Still, I couldn't just let someone else, enemy or ally, run around the base by themselves. It's dangerous to go lone. Take this! And I handed her my cock. No, that's not what happened at all, but it's a reference to something else mixed with my cock. You do understand our situation, don't you?
技術要員連続殺人事件ですね。
She seemed oblivious of the danger. You understand, don't you? How dumb are you? She didn't appear to have a grasp on our situation. Her next words were even more surprising.
あはは、私下っ端の予備要員ですから大丈夫です。
Even the lowest rank. Hey, what's with the matter-of-fact way of talking about a comrade's death? You're a bitch, Riko.
ほとんどの人が本来大の腰巾着ですもの。私は態度の最後無事ならいいんです。
Wow, that's cold. That's cold, Riko. She only works in on/off mode, air quotes. Riko's way of talking about the situation was still odd, though.
それに傾向を分析すると CIC の勤務表でトップの要員から順に殺されていますから私はまだです。
A ways to go? That's it, the pattern! Now we know who will be targeted next. Well, it seems like as an investigator, I should have realized this myself and not had some idiot kid tell me this instead. I mean, Jesus me, you're a moron. Why didn't you report this sooner? If her reply is anything other than, well, I figured you would know already, since this is your fucking job and all, then what the hell?
だって勤務表で覗いたのバレちゃいます。
Yeah, so who cares about that? Grr! I almost pulled out my hair in frustration. If it's being done in the order you say, who's next?
確かメイメイヤー少尉だったと思いますよ。その次がエヴァ・グレアム総長で。
I don't need the next. Where's this mayor person?
ちょっと待ってください。
Okay. Riko went over to the terminal. As I watched her from behind, Riko easily bypassed security to find the location of the person we were looking for. I could have picked up some nifty tricks, but to be honest, I was just staring at her sweet ass. Of course, she hadn't been given access by a senior officer to be able to do this kind of search. Riko, have you been doing this stuff like this for very long? Riko answered me while she tapped away at the keyboard.
はい。いけない。バレちゃった。
That's what she said. Ha! I knew she had ability, but this girl was really amazing. It was almost like Elise's electronic brain power had been downsized into her. Never mind, I never asked. More importantly, have you found Maya's location?
地表地殻振動検出集積機の不調箇所修理に当たってますから最下層の中央ブロックにいるはずです。
Got it! Action music, go! I started to rush out of the room, but then I paused. By the way, what's Lieutenant Elise Triad's work evaluation rank?
下から2番目ですけど。
I see. Alright, be a good girl and stay here. I hurried from the room. So, Elise is second from the bottom. I muttered to myself as I ran down the corridor. She did her best not to attract attention. How did I feel about that? Was I relieved that it wasn't time to save her life? Or was I disappointed that our opponent was a long way from having to face Elise's fighting abilities? I wondered about this as I heard to the lowest level. Surely both. I reached the lowest level without getting lost. This was even deeper than the lower levels where the base spread outwards underground from the central shaft. Ha! Shaft. It was like an underground boiler room in a building. It was a small area and only one section. The entire section was a cylinder. There was a thick shaft in the middle with the transmitters hooked up to it. Facing it was like looking at an upside down coliseum with stair-like structures running up the sides. That's the strangest way to describe a penis I've ever heard. It might sound complicated, but it really isn't. It was just the place where all the sensor cables were gathered together. It had cables from all the sensors to detect vibrations from surface vehicle travel, rocket blasts, launches and landings, and other sources, like aliens. The information detected by the sensors was constantly fed to the main computer. There, it was analyzed to be displayed on the CIC screens. Most of the vibrations were from unknown sources, like aliens. Intelligence and the High Command were trying to determine a method to detect what was going on at the enemy base closest to D-02 by using surface vibrations and aliens. That's one of the reasons that I had been sent here. The determination that most of the vibrations were caused by constructs above the lunar surface had come from this base's computer analysis. Uh-oh! Edited nipples! In a fairly wide, flat, circular area at the bottom of the stairs, I could see a commando. Was I too late? I ran up to her only to see her lying in a pool of blood. Dead? I put my hand against her carotid artery and detected a pulse. Then the technician she was guarding is... I raced up the stairs to the half-open door in the shaft. A foul stench greeted me. Uh-oh! The technician was wrapped in cables, covered in what seemed to be semen. Her half-open eyes showed the horror she had experienced at the moment of her death. I could see how she was violated by looking between her legs. Our assailant is a man, evidently. Anyway, there's nothing I can do here alone. I'd better call Giulietta. I called CIC and informed Lieutenant Thorndyke that there were injured and dead personnel on the lowest level. I went down the stairs and waited. Giulietta and Kaminsky eventually appeared. I was used to this by now. Hi there, Giulietta, Jack. What's up, guys? Having a good day? Everything good, jolly? Yes? Hey, Kaminsky, why are you looking at me like that? Giulietta, hello.
Knock it off. I don't like being called by that name. Sounds like a stagecoach robbery.
Well, what should I call you?
Just like always. Sergeant is fine.
Alright, Sergeant. They had brought a commando with a medical kit too. If I remembered correctly, her name was Nim, one of the two les girls in the corridor. What? I don't know what the hell I'm talking about now. Same as before, the technician. Nim looked at the fallen commando and went to work at licking the fallen commando's pussy. No, that's not what she did. Captain, you didn't move her, did you? Nim asked. I just checked her pulse, I said. How is she? Giulietta asked. Two broken ribs. I think she has a punctured lung from one of them. There's a sign of a blow to the neck, Nim said. That must have been the cause of all the blood. Anything else? Giulietta asked. Nim shook her head and the sergeant murmured to himself as if something were interesting.
Must have been pretty powerful for someone to do that barehanded.
Nim injected the fallen commando with something, probably a cardio tonic and painkiller.
Well, Captain, where is the stiff?
It's in my pants, Kaminsky. Want to reach down and find it? I mean, over there. I pointed to the transmitter sensor shaft, and Giulietta took a peek inside. I guess our culprit is a man, I said.
By the way, what were you doing down here, Captain?
Kaminsky asked. Giulietta also turned to look at me. They both looked at me suspiciously. Of course, I didn't know how suspicious they really were. It's difficult to fight an enemy you can't see, and it sets your nerves on end when it seems to be a comrade. Huh? I determined that the targets were being hit in sequence according to their work evaluations, I said. I wouldn't divulge Rico's name unless it was absolutely necessary. It was Rico. Rico did it. She's been hacking into it all this time. I think she might be the one responsible for all of this. We should go shoot her in the face. I mean, I can't tell you that. I have to keep my sources confidential.
That doesn't help your position,
Kaminsky said. Are you saying that I'm the murderer, Sergeant? I have plenty of alibis from all the women I've been having sex with. Or are you our killer, Sergeant? Just then I heard a voice from behind us.
どちらも違います。
I spun around and saw the commando sitting up. Corporal Utana, Judith said. Judith? Who the hell is Judith?
タイ殿ではありません。やったのはウォンタイです。
It wasn't the captain, it was Captain Wong. I knew it, Lei Wong, you bitch. She must have used up all her strength to tell us this. She began coughing up blood as she spoke.
空風かマーシャルアーツかの技で。
Kung Fu, martial arts, Utana said. Okay, that's enough. Take her to sickbay, fast, Giulietta said. Giulietta, is your name also Judith, perhaps? Nim applied an emergency cast and carried her off. All by herself? Nim, you're a strong one, aren't you? Guess that's why you're a commando. Are you going to arrest Lei Wong next? You didn't have to get the colonel's permission to arrest Elise.
We have a witness. There's nothing we can do about it.
Hey Giulietta, that's stereotyping and a bit racist. Was it that simple? It was as though we were in a city of saboteurs. Our soldiers' lives were at risk, and the few remaining personnel were being picked off one by one. 2 CIC officers, the 2 in the control tower, the 3 who were murdered in cold blood, and Elise and Lei Wong are arrested. That makes 9 out of CIC duty. It will be difficult for the base to continue functioning if this continues. It was already pretty difficult, but I couldn't waste my time working in CIC. The sergeant shrugged his shoulders.
We're only doing our duty. Not much else we can do.
Anyway, we have to do something soon, or this base will be nothing but an empty cave.
Yeah, as usual, there's not much evidence left. Might be worthwhile to analyze that semen.
That's ridiculous! What does she propose to do after knowing the blood type? Kaminsky and I were the only men left. Does she want to lock me up if it turns out to be the same blood type as mine? I'd like to see you try, Giulietta. Come on, bring it! Leaving that semen was just to mess up the investigation. Wait a minute. Are Kaminsky and I really the only men left here? We couldn't rule out an infiltration from outside. Security might have become lax due to the inherent difficulty of sneaking into a lunar base. I'll have to look into that possibility if I can hook up with Elise. I felt the futility of remaining here any longer. I left the remainder of the investigation here to Giulietta. And screw you, Kaminsky! I'll leave the rest of this to you, Lieutenant.
あ、タイ殿。情報では次に狙われるのは誰になっているのですか？
Master Sergeant Graham. However, it won't do any good to increase security around her.
なぜですか？
She looked confused. I explained it to her as simply as I could, because Giulietta, you're pretty, but you're dumb. Listen, Lieutenant, if we increase security, it will tip off our murderer. He'll only become more elusive, and we don't have the personnel to make a move as a deterrent.
He's right about that.
The sergeant nodded in agreement. Yeah, Giulietta, I'm right. Kaminsky agrees. Giulietta left it at that. She didn't intend to go against both myself and the veteran sergeant. In fact, it was hard to tell which of them was supposed to be the officer. Anyway, let me know if you find anything. With that, I took my leave of them. Alright, I'm gonna cut it here. People just dropping off like flies in this game now. Ain't gonna be nobody left. Nobody left to have the moon sex with very shortly, I'm sure. But anyway, thank you for watching. I am Indy McDaniel. Until the next one, see yas!